Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And a very good day to you all. And today we look at the historical overview of Islamic finance. Traditionally, Malay Muslim society is very cautious in involving themselves in riba transactions. In order to avoid interest-based transactions in getting cash or liquidity, they practice a local customary transaction known as jual janji. In other words, it is a conditional sale. The courts recognize jual janji as a Malay customary transaction arising out of religious consideration. So according to Professor Diraja, almarhum Uncle Aziz, the main purpose of savings for Muslims was to meet the expenses for the journey to perform Hajj. Thus, they preferred to use traditional ways of savings. In that time, there's no such thing as Bank Islam. So what they do is that instead of safekeeping their money in conventional banking institutions tainted with riba, they try to avoid the conventional system by way of keeping it under their pillow, in their tabung. So in other words, it is more towards unconventional way of safekeeping the money. And next, we look at the global development of modern Islamic banking and financial institutions. In Malaysia, Islamic banking can be traced back to its root in 1963 with the establishment of the Lembaga Urusan dan Tabung Haji, which was the first Islamic saving institution for the special purpose of performing Hajj. And Islamic resurgence in the Middle Eastern countries had initiated the call for the establishment of an Islamic financial system that will allow Muslims to practice their banking and finance according to Sharia principles. So in other words, the awakening of Muslims in the Middle Eastern countries, they realized that they need a special system without the involvement of riba or interest that can invalidate their religious obligations. So this can be seen with the establishment of Islamic Development Bank in Jeddah in 1974 and Dubai Islamic Bank in 1975, being the first Islamic commercial bank. And move towards establishing a bank nation was initiated by various private parties, such as Congress Ekonomi Bumiputera, Bumiputera Economic Congress in 1980, and also at the National Seminar on Concept Pembangunan dalam Islam, or the concept of development in Islam. And a resolution was passed calling off for the government to allow Lembaga Urusan Tabung Haji to establish a bank in Malaysia in order to mobilize and invest the funds of the Malays and Muslims. So at that time, Lembaga Urusan Tabung Haji, they can deposit, they can safekeep depositors' money, but they can't deal with any banking transactions such as loans, such as cards, so on and so forth. That's a thing that they cannot do, because they are an institution specifically for safekeeping the pilgrim fund. And many factors contributing to the successful growth in banking in this country. Firstly, of course, support and encouragement from the government. Without the government support, this will not happen because Islamic banking need to stand on an act. An act must be passed in parliament. So that's why government support and encouragement must be there. Okay. Before that, there's no such thing as Islamic Banking Act 1983. There's no such act that make it possible for Islamic banking institutions to exist in Malaysia. So favorable economic environment. There's a demand from the customer, and also creativity of the financial engineers in designing new products. Because without the ingenuity, without the capability of these scholars, new products will not come into existence. So this is some of the historical landmarks, Islamic finance development. This is a whole all around the world. In 1963, such as Meet Gamir in Egypt, 1969. Before that, 1960, Pilgrims Fund Board, Lama Urusan Tabung Haji. And in 1970s, see the albums, 1975, Islamic Development Bank, Saudi Arabia, Dubai Islamic Bank, UAE. And also in 1977, the fatwa on takaful, fatwa issued by the Fiqh Council of Muslim World League in favor of Islamic insurance. So, in other words, they come into a conclusion that the conventional insurance is not permitted. Thus, takaful as insurance must be the product of choice for Muslims. In 1978, Luxembourg Islamic Bank, as the first attempt in the West, in 1979, Sudanese Islamic Insurance Company established as the world's first takaful company by Faisal Islamic Bank of Sudan. In 1983, Malaysia passes comprehensive legislation of Islamic Bank or Islamic Finance, namely Islamic Banking Act 1983. Without this act, no Islamic bank will exist in Malaysia. Okay, afterwards, we can see in 2013, and the IBA, Islamic Banking Act, was replaced by Islamic Financial Services Act, IFSA 2013. This after 30 years of the first legislation. In 1998, OIC Islamic Fiqh Academy legitimizes sukuk, which paves the way to the development of Islamic debt securities. In 1990, this is the world first sukuk issued in Malaysia based on BBA by Shell MDS, worth up to $30 million. So you can see the original certificate in Sasana Kijang. Okay, in Sasana Kijang, you can see the original certificate. In 1991, IOFI, or Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, was established in Bahrain. And in 2002, Islamic Financial Services Board existed in Malaysia. And in 2011, we have International Islamic Liquidity Management, IILM, Malaysia. So one of the important historical occurrence before the formation of Islamic Banking Act 1993. This is the report by National Steering Committee on Bank Islam Malaysia. First, they reported that an Islamic bank which operates according to the rules of Sharia should be established. And this bank should be able to provide services to Muslims as well as to operate on a profitable basis. So not only they should provide services to Muslim or as well as any customers, although they might be non-Muslims, but that they must operate on a profitable basis. So they must be profitable. And only one such bank should be established. That's what we see in the first 20 years. Only Bank Islam exists. And after that, in 1998, only after that, the second banks exist. And the proposed Islamic Bank should be incorporated as a limited company under the Companies Act 1965. And in order to provide for licensing and supervision of Islamic Bank, an act start, the Islamic Banking Act would need to be legislated, and some consequential amendments should be made to the existing related acts. Because at that time, conventional banking act existed on the basis of riba or interest, where interest must be the pillar of their business. And the central bank should administer the Islamic Banking Act. And also, the proposed bank should set up a religious supervisory council to supervise the compliance of its operations with Sharia principles. And last but not least, the proposed bank should be named Bank Islam Malaysia. Okay, I think we should stop now so that you can digest all the information that we have discussed today. So thank you for your attention. See you later.